Okay. Hi, everybody. So, in this session, we're going to have a look at the audit sales process. What does that mean? It means, a lot of the time people are asking me, how do we work with clients and how do we make sure that we secure and we plot the course to make sure that we're successful? And that means really bridging the gap from something which is strategic all the way through to something which is technology. And hopefully, with this is more going to help you pitch who you are rather than what you can do. Okay. So with that in mind, let's get into it. And if you really think about if you've lost a deal within the last 90 days because buyers say, oh, that sounds great, but let me think about it, or then they've ghosted you. I'm exactly the same. It's happened. And what I want to happen is that when you've gone through this 4-step framework, which will be closing anything from 10 to 30K of AI engagements, meaning money, it's where the audit is the entry point. So where is an audit, by the way, when you're working in Europe could be very different to when you work in America. So audit here might be something which is quite scary for customers. So that's also something which we should frame, saying, let me strategically look at where you are with AI and let's see where we can accelerate. And in different geos, okay, let's just do an AI audit and just see where you are. And the main thing is that we want to move from discovery to close, built on their numbers, not your pitch. So I've been running this on live deals now for the last few weeks, and it's the cleanest sales motion I've seen for selling AI work. And in about 25 minutes, they will open up to what you need. So with that in mind, let's get into the presentation. The problem, why AI deals die. The reason most AI deals die isn't the product. AI is good, right? It's brilliant. It does its job. Our work, what we do, we are good at what we do. We know probably 100 times more than what the customer knows, especially when we're being put in front of the customer. But the reason they die is the deal. So the reason they die, the customer dies. So the reason the deal dies is that we, as the service providers, are not very good at articulating the value of what we're selling. And in a market where every buyer is being told 20 new things about AI every week, if you can't explain it cleanly, they will absolutely not buy it. So think about this. This is the line, right? So I want you to write this down, if possible, put it on a post-it note, however you want to remember what you see here. But a client doesn't want AI. They want what AI brings for them, to them. They want higher revenue, faster sales cycles, fewer hours lost to admin. They don't actually want an AI operating system, even when they tell you that's what they want. They want the outcome. So when you pitch, we'll build you an AI operating system. We're selling the route, not the destination. That's why the price feels arbitrary, right? So there's nothing for it to anchor against. Today, it's all about fixing that by grounding the entire sales in reality 1, reality 2, and then in their words. Does that make sense? So here's the framework. 4 steps: discovery, proposal, audit, close. Now, the mistake is that almost everybody in the room is making the same problem, including me, right? So before I started running this properly, which is basically just thinking of step 4, we have one conversation and we throw a price. We wonder why nobody buys. Today, I'm going to walk you through how each step earns the next. By the time you get to close, so step 4, you've done so much groundwork that saying no is harder for them saying than it is for them saying yes. And that's the whole game. So step 1, the discovery call. 30 minutes, 5 questions. And here's the thing I want you to really sit with. Words are spells. What does that even mean? So in the order you ask these questions really, really matters. So rather than the questions themselves. So you could think about that as if you ask them out of sequence, the framework falls apart. Okay, so let me walk you through these one by one. After you've built a bit of rapport and you go straight in, right? So question one could be, what is the biggest problem in your business right now? Pretty standard, right? It's open, it's unbiased, no hints, etc. And you want a fire hose response. But if they give you something vague, you follow up with, what made you book this call today? That always opens them up. Question two is, how much is their problem costing their business right now? So don't bias it. Don't say, is it hours? Is it money? Let them think for themselves just for a second. Let them tell you. And if they don't know, help them work it out. Take me through the acquisition process, step by step. That kind of thing, so you will eventually get to their numbers. Question three is, how long has it been this way? Now, they go backwards in time. They start doing the maths themselves. 6 months of that cost compounded, that's when they think, oh, the penny drops. Question four, if you did nothing for the next 6 to 12 months and you stayed exactly where you were, what does that business look like for them? Now, when we go forward, you're getting them to picture the drift, right? So where the emotion shifts, and this is annoying, to something like, oh, we can fix this. And question five, if you had a magic wand and you could build the perfect solution to fix this, what would it look like? Close the loop, make them feel heard. And 9 times out of 10, they will give you the spec to the thing you're about to build for them, right? So tool rules, they speak more than you do. Very important. And record the call, granola, fireflies, like whatever it is. The transcript is the raw material for everything that comes next. And quick caveat, sometimes people, they don't have an obvious pain. They're doing fine. In that case, flip the question towards growth. What does that mean? You're doing 2.5 million. What if AI could double that for you? Same framework, but opposite direction. The motivator becomes ambition instead of pain. That's not normally the case, but it could happen. Okay? And just to reinforce what we said, the sequence is doing the work, not just the questions. Ask the cost before the duration, and you flatten the pain. Skip the magic wand, and you've got nothing to anchor down the solution against. Ask in sequence, let them talk, and capture the numbers. And, super important, there's a dark version of this where we manufacture pain that isn't there. Don't do that. The framework works because the pain is real and you're just surfacing it, not inventing it. Use the skill properly and in the right manner. And if after discovery call there is genuinely no problem that's worth solving, just walk away. You'll feel better and save everybody's time. Okay, step 2, the proposal. It's a different day, a different call. And this is a bit that broke my brain when I first heard it. And I like to call it the two realities. There's the buyer's current state and then future state, and on the same page in their numbers. What does that mean? So if you have a look here on the left column, reality 1 today, right? The cost is staying the same. Hours lost to admin, sales cycles measured in months, revenue leaking through manual handoffs, team energy eroding, every line came in from the discovery call. Their words, their numbers. Right column, super interesting. Reality 2, with AI, admin compress, sales cycles halved, revenue compounding on the same headcount, team focused on work that actually moves the metric. The gap between these two columns is the investment. So What makes this work is that you're not pitching it to them. You're holding up a mirror and you're saying, look, you told me, I've told you, we've had this conversation, and then pointing at what the same business model looks like, but with AI in place. The reaction is almost the same. I thought we were doing it all right, but you're right, it's costing me. That's the mic drop moment. From there, the audit sells itself because they know that reality 2 is real. And step 3 is the audit, the bridge between reality 1 and reality 2. And this is where the promise stops being a promise and starts being a plan. 3 things that the audit actually delivers. First, you interview the teams, managers, executives, people doing the work. And then what you'll find is that workflows decomposed, not assumed. You're not building from an org chart, you're building from the reality which you did in the discovery. Second, you expose the leaks, the bottlenecks the business owner didn't know existed. The audit finds them on record in the team's own language. That alone is often worth the cost of the engagement. Third, you prove the reality, so reality 2 becomes specific. The audit converts the proposal promised into a cost, a sequence plan, and you walk in to basically close knowledge. And you walk into the close knowing exactly which 2 or 3 workflows you're going to automate first. Step 4 is the close. Okay, by now the hard work is done. The close isn't a pitch, it's a demo, it's a demonstration. Building a POC, so a small working slice of the highest leverage workflow, built from the audit, which uncovered basically everything you know. Show them it. Show them what you've done. Present the plan. Sequence the rollout tied to the metrics of reality 2, and a clear answer to what happens next, so you're not guessing. So basically, the plan is put in their hand. By the time you ask the question, the answer is already yes, and that's exactly what they want. Saying no requires unpicking everything they've already agreed to on the previous 3 different calls they've had prior. And most of them don't do that. So if you're to take one thing away from today, from this presentation, from this training, is this. Most AI deals die in step 4 because steps 1 through 3 were skipped. The whole point of this framework is to reverse that, right? So it's to discover earns the proposal earns the audit, and then by the time the price comes up, the buyer's already passed it. The whole motion is, in their words, in their numbers, in a repeatable path from a cold conversation to a signed agreement. And that's it. That's the framework. One ask before I go and before I leave this video, this recording, is don't sit on this. Pick the next prospect call in your diary and run the 5 discovery questions in sequence. Capture the numbers. Bring those numbers to the proposal call and build the 2 reality slide. If you want to swap notes on how it lands, or you want me to look over the 2 reality slides before you send it off, just send it me. It's fine. I'll have a look through. I'm running this on every deal this week and in the next months. So I'm happy to compare what I've done in the past and what yours look like. And I will just answer like a slight Q&A, maybe just to help, and it will be in the post below. But if we want to maybe take 3 or 4 questions, it will be, for example, how long should the audit take? 2 to 4 weeks. The shape matters more than the length. So 2 weeks for a small business, 4 for anything with multiple different departments. And then the next one could be, what if they won't pay for the audit? Then you haven't done step 2 right. The 2 reality gaps has to be as painfully obvious as possible. Frame the audit as de-risking the bigger build. Okay, then what goes in the POC? We mentioned it, but just again, the narrowest high leverage workflow for you to uncover, which is uncovered in the audit. 1 slice, but it's built to be felt, not to be explained. And do I really need 2 calls? Yes, because discovery is listening, proposal is structured. Cram them into one and you flatten both. So take your time and let the customer feel heard. You always hear me talk about this with inside of the school community, but it's an obvious one which is always skipped. And what if I'm not talking to a decision maker? That's what the 2 realities slide is for. Your champion can retell that one slide in a boardroom and explain their own gap. So look, with that, thanks for your time. I hope this session was useful. And any feedback, just drop them in, send me a message. And yeah, thank you.